The following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, this is the TFangy coming to you with what will hopefully be a quick and successful review. And tonight we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Animated Bumblebee. So yeah, this is the version of Bumblebee from Transformers Animated. He is the third Autobot to be given a modern Chug-style figure in the Legacy line. And a lot of Transformers fans and collectors have been the general consensus with Animated Bumblebee is that he's one of those Transformers figures where you either completely like him or you completely hate him. And part of that is because stems from the fact that a lot of Transformers fans and collectors enjoy how accurate Bumblebee of his design compared to his original Transformers animated action figures. But a lot of fans and collectors are disappointed with how small sized of a figure Bumblebee is, especially considering that he's a deluxe. I believe Legacy United Animated Bumblebee, I believe he might now hold the title of actually being the smallest deluxe class Transformers figure ever made. I honestly can't say that with certainty since I got the recently released Studio Series 86 Bumblebee figure that you can see right there above my shoulder. So I don't know which deluxe class figure of Bumblebee is the smallest. But he's pretty small compared to the other deluxe figures that have been released in the Legacy United line. I'm for certain. Me personally, I'm not too bothered by Bumblebee being small in size, since he was really small in the Transformers animated cartoon. In fact, I believe it's either the 8th or ninth episode of Transformers Animated, which is titled Along Came a Spider, it's the episode when Black Arachnia first arrives on Earth. Towards the end of the episode, when the Autobot's human friend, Sorry Sumdak, is about to fall off of a building, Bumblebee and Bulkhead rescue her from falling by Bulkhead grabbing Bumblebee and then throwing him up to save Sorry. And in that split-second screenshot, Bumblebee is small enough that he can stand on top of animated Bulkhead's hand and be sent flying up, still transformed in robot mode. So that's how small of a Autobot Bumblebee was in Transformers Animated. I believe he was only 3 times larger than an adult human. I think in the Generation 1 cartoon he was 2.5 times larger than an adult human, so almost the same size as his Generation 1 counterpart. So by all accounts, Bumblebee was still a mini-bot. He was definitely the smallest of all 5 of the main Autobot characters from Transformers Animated, even though the animated version of Prowl transformed into a motorcycle. The compact car Bumblebee transformed into wasn't that much larger. And that was the theme with all of the Transformers Animated, the main Autobot characters, that they all transformed into some type of emergency responder vehicle. Bumblebee was a undercover police car. Alright, that's basically some background information on Animated Bumblebee. So there he is inside his box. Here's some artwork of him in his alt mode. Again, he's an undercover police car. He's got the see that little bump right there on the box art? That's the siren that's on his roof. And in one episode later on, he upgraded with some rocket boosters to make himself go faster. He only used them a couple of times in the cartoon. I think it might have been 1 or 2 episodes only, but his original deluxe class animated figure came with those rocket boosters as well, so it's nice that he has those there. Here, coming around here on this side of the box, you got some artwork of Bumblebee in his robot mode, and there's the same image as his face sculpt, just zoomed outward. And I've always loved the design of Animated Bumblebee's head sculpt. I've just always enjoyed the way he looked. And he does come with his deployable stingers. In the Transformers Animated cartoon, Bumblebee's gimmick is that he would rotate his hand into his fist, and he would have a pair of stingers that would come out and replace Ace's hands. On the original Animated Deluxe figure, the stingers could be rotated out while you flipped away Bumblebee's hands to make it look like the stingers are being deployed. Here on the new Legacy United figure, the stingers aren't actually attached to Bumblebee's hands. They're just separate accessory pieces that you can attach to the ends of his arms and make it look like they're weapons now. Now, as seen here on the back of the box with Bumblebee's robot mode, there's some product photos of his robot mode and alt mode. He transforms back and forth between both modes in 22 steps. Here on this side of the box, you got half the poster image for the Legacy United line. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Animated Bumblebee. I really enjoy how he earned out. A lot of the designs for the Transformers, what made the Transformers animated characters special, which is the reason why it ended up being titled Transformers Animated, is that Derek J. Wyatt, who I believe passed away a couple of years ago, he designed some kind of sketch of animated Bulkhead, and from that drawing, the other Transformers animated characters came out. And what makes Transformers animated, what makes that Transformers series unique compared to the other Transformers series that came both before and after it, is that at it's the art style. A lot of people incorrectly believe it was the animation, but the animation is the process of moving drawings around. The art style is how the actual artwork, the images, are drawn. But the art style for Transformers the Transformers animated characters look like um, basically comic book superheroes. The Autobots look like comic book superheroes, and the Decepticons look like comic book villains. And that was the whole shtick with Transformers Animated. I apologize if I used that word incorrectly, if I mispronounced it, but that was the feature of Transformers Animated that made it special and unique, is that the characters, they didn't look like traditional robots in the sense the way the Transformers characters have in other Transformers series. They basically look like humanoid androids, and that's a bit of a trivia with Transformers Animated that a lot of Transformers fans and collectors aren't aware of. Era of these days, is that Transformers Animated was originally going to be titled Transformers Heroes. That was the working title for Transformers Animated before it was changed. And it was even on the Transformers Wikipedia for a couple of months before it finally aired on television in December of 2007. Evan was that the series was originally going to be called Transformers Heroes, and again, it's because the characters look like comic book superheroes and supervillains, with the art style that Derek J. Wyatt created for the Transformers characters. So yeah, the Transformers from Transformers Animated, they're the closest any of the Transformers have been to um, looking, quote unquote, looking like they could be human without actually being human. And they even did a joke about that in one episode during Transformers Animated's third season, where spoiler alert for no one who's watched Transformers Animated yet, but in one of the episodes of season 3, Soundwave traps the Autobots in a virtual reality program where they believe they've been turned into human characters. And the joke with the episode was that they didn't look much different as humans compared to when they were robots. And so, depending on how you view it, if you think their appearance is somewhat similar or if it's drastically different. It was just a nod to the art style of Transformers Animated. But the reason I remember that Transformers Animated was originally going to be called Transformers Heroes was because basically at the time in 2007, I was in my senior year of high school, and even though I made friends with all of my classmates, I didn't really socialize with anybody outside of school. And so since I didn't have much of a social life, I browsed the Transformers Wikipedia as often as I could when I didn't have to concentrate on school or help my family out. So that's how I remember Transformers Animated was originally going to be called Transformers Heroes, because for roughly the 2 months that it was on the Transformers Wikipedia, I was there watching it every day, with excitement and anticipation for the next Transformers cartoon show. And when its name was changed to Transformers Animated, I thought, okay, I thought Transformers Heroes was a bland name, but Transformers Animated is just, well, I'll let you come to your own conclusions about the name change. But without further delay, I've babbled on much longer than I wanted to, so let's get Bumblebee out of his box and take a closer look at him in robot mode. Alright, and so here is Legacy United animated Bumblebee out of the box and in his robot mode and holding his weapons. So again, he now has the rocket boosters as laser guns with his stingers attached to the front and as blasters. I don't think you can attach the stingers to the end of his arms like you could on his original animated figure. And that's actually one thing about the original animated Bumblebee figure is that similar to Legacy Prowl, who was released in the Evolution line last year, most of the Transformers animated action figures, their hands weren't actually uh, traditional 5mm fists. It's like they are here on the Legacy United Bumblebee figure here. Most of them were sculpted open hands with the thumb separated from the fingers. Fingers looking like this, similar to the left side hand here on Legacy Animated Prowl. And also, for Bumblebee to actually having weapons held in his hands, that's something that I honestly didn't think I'd ever see on a figure of animated Bumblebee before. But yeah, I really enjoy how he came out. For those of you wondering why his mouth is off to the side of his face instead of in the center of it, that's actually the way he appeared in. That was the art style for animated Bumblebee. His mouth was kind of over here off to the side instead of in the center area of his face. And that is the way his face was sculpted on his original, not just the deluxe class animated Bumblebee figure, but it was the same, I believe, for every figure that Bumblebee got in the animated line. There were a total of, I think, 3 animated Bumblebee figures that were released. There was the deluxe class figure, then there was a 3-inch tall, it was known as an activator figure of Bumblebee, which had a spring-loaded automatic transformation, and the activator version of Bumblebee is the one that this new deluxe figure of Bumblebee in the Legacy United line is the most size accurate to. And the activator Bumblebee figure, in my opinion, was most size accurate compared to other figures in the animated line. And then Bumblebee got a tiny little Legends class ass figure, which oddly enough, instead of being released at mass retail in the Transformers animated line, animated Bumblebee's Legends class figure, which was a tiny little 2-inch Bumblebee figure, that was released in a boxed set with one of the Target exclusive Transformers animated action figures. I believe it was a all clear gray plastic version of Lockdown, and then it was also released individually in the Transformers Universe Classics 25th anniversary line a few months later. So that's one of the great ironies of the Transformers animated line is that Bumblebee's Legends class figure was released at mass retail under a different line, and it was also released as an exclusive to Target stores. So, but bringing focus back here to the Transformers animated Bumblebee figure, he's got quite a few 5mm ports on him. He's got 2 here on either side of his backpack, and then he's got two more 5mm ports on the back side of the backpack as well. Then he's got some at the right above his ankles, at the bottom of his shins. And so there's all sorts of places you can put his rocket boosters. The stingers attached to the back of the rocket boosters on 3mm ports instead of 5mm. So there isn't much in terms of a storage for the stingers, I'm afraid. You can combine them together, either similar to how Bumblebee's original animated figure did, but as far as bringing Bumblebee's arms together to put them together, I don't think they can actually bend that far. Alright, but yeah, he is pretty accurate to his original Transformers animated figure, and just like the original animated figure, you could put the rocket boosters on the 5mm ports on the sides of Bumblebee's backpack, but on the original deluxe class animated Bumblebee figure, instead of the 5mm ports being down here behind the wheels on his shoulders, they were actually up here towards the top of the backpack, which is now has a hinge joint that transforms the rear section of the vehicle mode to the back. So had they put the 5mm ports here on this hinge joint, that would have been more accurate. But I can kind of forgive Hasbro for not putting them in, because this hinge joint is somewhat small, and then there are already drilled holes here on the back of it. So for articulation, Bumblebee's head is on a ball joint, but it's really stiff out of the box, so I'm not going to mess around with it too much. The arms are on a swivel joint at the top of the shoulder, technically, but it's actually at the wheel, not the top of the arm itself. And then you can bring the arms down if you want. That's one thing about animated Bumblebees. You can give him you can give his arms two positions. You can either have them farther up here, which is more accurate to animated Bumblebee's original action figure, or you can leave them down here close to the side, which is slightly more accurate to his appearance in the animated cartoon. But the official configuration has the shoulders being up higher in this position. Uh, Swivel joint right above the elbow, hinge joint at the elbow. No wrist articulation due to how the hands transform. Oh no, there is a wrist swivel in there. Just made a liar out of me. I apologize for that. Uh, Waist swivel, but again, out of the box, it's really stiff, and I believe it's actually hitting the base of these parts right here on Bumblebee's torso, so that's a little tricky thing to be aware of. Legs can go forward and backwards, outwards this far. Swivel joint at the hip, hinge joint at the knee. The feet can go slightly up and down at the ankle due to a transformation joint. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Despite his small size, animated Bumblebee's got a pretty decent range of articulation. And for some quick special size comparisons in robot mode, here is Legacy United Deluxe Class Animated Bumblebee next to Legacy Evolution Deluxe Class Animated Prowl and Legacy United Voyager Class Animated Optimus Prime. So, with Bumblebee's release, we've got 3 of the 5 main Autobot cast from Transformers Animated having been given Chug-style figures in the Legacy line. No word yet if Hasbro and Cartoon have any plans on doing the animated versions of Bulkhead and Ratchet in the Legacy line. But I really hope that we get Chug-style figures of them someday because I really enjoy how Optimus Prime, Prowl, and now Bumblebee have all turned out. And I really think they're impressive figures. But again, as I said, Bumblebee, this is an example of how small he is. A lot of collectors have said that animated Prowl is a fairly uh, decent sized deluxe class Transformers figure. So yeah, Bumblebee is definitely on the small size. He actually reminds me of the now defunct size class of Transformers, which were known as Basic Class or Scout Class Transformers. They were Transformers figures that were in between the size of Deluxe Class and Legends Class Transformers. So I kind of almost wish they would have brought that size class back, because I'm sure a lot of Transformers fans and collectors would have been eager to buy Bumblebee for only $19.99 instead of $24.99, the new current price that Deluxe Class Transformers go for. But that's just me nitpicking about how small he is. But overall, I really enjoy how he turned out. I love the paint job, all the painting highlights done on him. One thing that unfortunately they couldn't mimic due to how the figure transforms is that Bumblebee's black stripe, it stayed on one side of him, so the stripe continued from his chest down to his left side leg when he transformed into robot mode in the animated cartoon. And the only action figure Bumblebee got that was able to do that, keeping the black stripe on one side of him, was the previously mentioned Activator Bumblebee figure. So, unfortunately, due to how Bumblebee transforms, the stripe, instead of staying on one side of him, it ends up on the other side of his leg due to how he transforms from robot mode into alt mode. But that's just a minor nitpick that can be overlooked easily. But overall, I'm really thrilled seeing the 3 of them standing here next to each other: Animated, Prime, Prowl, and Bumblebee. So I've pretty much run out of everything I wanted to say. So to stop myself from babbling, let's get Bumblebee transformed into his alt mode and wrap up the review. Alright, and so here is Legacy United Animated Bumblebee transformed into his alt mode. There's 2 different spots you can put his weapons. You can either put them here on the back, or you can put them here on the 5mm pegs on the front. I put them up here on the back since that's where they were on his original Deluxe Class animated figure and his appearance in the animated cartoon. He's got the siren here on the top up of the roof to show that he's an undercover police car. Or I kind of wish they would have did what they did with the original animated figure, where that was just painted red, but it's actually cast in clear red plastic. So I kind of wish they would have done that differently. Um, a lot of Transformers fans have been having problems with animated Bumblebee's different panel lines in his alt mode not connecting properly. And my copy is no different. But overall, I'm really just thrilled to finally have a new modern figure of animated Bumblebee. It rolls fairly well, and again, it's more closer in size to his 3-inch tall activator figure than his 5-inch tall deluxe class figure from the original animated line. But yeah, there's animated Bumblebee here. Just like and Optimus Prime and Prowl, the uh, art style doesn't really carry over into alt mode from robot mode. The art style that Jared Day Wyatt came up with the Transformers animated cartoon. I had the phrase in my head a moment ago. Now I remember. Streamlined animation. Basically, the Transformers animated characters. This is why I said at the start of the review that they looked like uh, superheroes and supervillains from the pages of comic books, because in robot mode, the Transformers animated characters had streamlined animation. There were no right angles, there were no blocky or boxy shaped body parts. They looked like humanoid robots or robots with human body proportions. So that was really a unique design that Transformers Animated presented for the Transformers franchise, and a lot of Transformers fans and collectors back when Transformers Animated was in full swing in 2008 and 2009 embraced it wholeheartedly. So, like many other Transformers Animated fans, I wish the cartoon's third season hadn't been canceled and it would have continued, or the fourth season, I should say, hadn't been canceled. But at the time in 2009, when the fourth season would have premiered, Hasbro wanted to shift focus from Transformers Animated to moving on to the second live-action Transformers movie. So we can blame Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen for Transformers Animated having an abrupt ending after its third season. The wheels on Bumblebee roll. Three of them on my copy roll fairly well. This one in the back, uh, it's sticking to the back section right here, and I just noticed why. There's some uh, excess plastic that wasn't removed at the factory, so I'll have to take that off. But yeah, other than that, he rolls fairly well. And again, for some size comparisons in alt mode, here is Legacy United Deluxe Class Bumblebee next to Legacy Animated Prowl and Optimus Prime. So yeah, Bumblebee, he is, I believe, the smallest Deluxe Class Transformers figure that's ever been released now. In both robot mode and alt mode, he's more akin to an old school Scout class size Transformers figure. So kind of makes me wonder why Hasbro and Tomy didn't bring Scout class size back for animated Bumblebee. I know the reason why they did it was because of money, and selling this figure as a deluxe class made Hasbro and Tomy much more than they would have had it been sold as a Scout class size Transformers action figure. But I think selling it a size class smaller would have been more motivated more Transformers fans and collectors to getting animated Legacy United animated Bumblebee and adding him to their Transformers collections. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty great modern day action figure of the animated version of Bumblebee, and I enjoy having it in my Transformers collection. I enjoy how he looks standing here next to Prowl and Optimus Prime. So hopefully, we will one day get in the Generations line modern day Chug style figures of animated Ratchet and Bulkhead. And yeah, and so for the final question that I ask at the end of each review, do I recommend getting the Transformers Legacy United animated series Bumblebee figure and adding it to your Transformers collection? Yes, I do, because if you're a fan of Bumblebee and you're a fan of Transformers Animated, then this new deluxe class figure is a must-have for your Transformers collection. Granted, it doesn't have as much of a feel as isn't entirely 100% accurate to the original Transformers Animated Bumblebee action figure, but I think it does a fairly decent job. It does a better job than Prowl does, and to a point also Optimus Prime, so hopefully that's a trend that will continue if we get any future characters in Transformers Animated, is that later figures will be even more better designed than the first ones were. So yes, thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been the TFN Geek. This has been my review of Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Animated Bumblebee. I highly recommend you get this figure if you can find him. Surprisingly, he hasn't shelf warmed where I live in California. I don't know if that's true in other locations, if he's shelf warming or not. But yeah, I do recommend you get this figure if you can find him. Thank you guys all so much. And until next time, you guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the TFN Geek. And until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.